Lucas, welcome to the Behind the Label podcast. Take two this is, because someone forgot to hit the record button last time. But thank you very much for coming on. It is an absolute pleasure. So the concept of the podcast, as you know, because I explained it to you last time, is to find out about the person or business behind the label. So in the industry, you're known as Lucas from Viva Coffee, and I've always known you as Lucas from Viva Coffee. And anytime I talk about you to someone, I say, oh, you know Lucas from Viva. So today is about finding out more about you as a person, Viva as a business, how it started, and everyone involved in that. So first question, who is Lucas as a person?
Darren, thanks very much to have me here. Really appreciate that. I think you're doing a great job behind the label, and then put this out in the community, as you know, who are the people bring coffee to the country, and I think that's very important.
Appreciate it.
Darren, Lucas from Viva Coffee. Lucas is a guy who arrived in Ireland probably 16, 17 years ago, from Brazil, like the football, but nowadays we have family, me and Teresa, which is my partner in the business as well, my wife, 2 kids, and full-on family, very, very busy. But Lucas is a guy who always worked with coffee. Coffee is in our blood, in our family, in our town, in Brazil. You were there, you could see.
Yeah.
But simple guy.
Any hobbies? What hobbies have you got?
Hobbies, because everyone say, Lucas, you're from Brazil, you play soccer.
Yeah.
But I said, no, really, that's not my thing. When I was young, I was paragliding.
Well,
I use a free flight between hang glide and paragliding. Yeah, that's why we live up in the mountains there. We have perfect condition during the winter, and summertime I used to go South Brazil to teaching kite surfing as well.
No way.
So yeah.
How long did you do that for?
For good, from 18 to 25 probably.
Jeez, you're not that old. Jeez, I thought you were only 25. And in the winter, was it snowy in the mountains and stuff?
No. It's just paragliding. We have the perfect conditions, and that was me when I was young.
So have you got any hobbies now?
Yeah, nowadays we like me and my brother on the club when we were young, we used to play tennis, and now we're back to play tennis again. It's a bit more safe than the paragliding.
Yeah, you have a family now to think about. The worst you can do in tennis is roll your ankle, so you'll be okay. I watched the tennis movie the other day. Have you seen Challengers?
No, I didn't see that.
Isn't it? It is brilliant. You have to watch it.
Very good.
You have to watch it. So you're Lucas, you're a family man, a few hobbies, you love coffee. Coffee is your life, obviously it's your job. So when did the journey start? Young Lucas back in Brazil, what was your first experience of coffee, and did you always know it was going to be your life?
First experience, like where I'm from in Brazil, my dad is an engineer. He always worked in the coffee industry for machines, right? When you say machine, it's not like espresso machines, it's like a machine for farmers, like mills. He always designed mills, wet mills, dry mills, warehousing, where we separating the coffee. Since we were born, my dad was already working on this. When I was 15, 16, my dad retired, and then he opened his own business, which was, he used to buy old machines from farmers, and then he has his factory there where he redo the machines, repainting, change parts, need to change and resell. So
some job. I can only imagine how expensive the machines are.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Yeah. It's especially dryers, and the machines who take the skin off the husk, and then all these. It's very expensive machines, and then distoner there. We do a lot distoner there in Brazil as well.
And distoner is more than just stones, is it? Like your machines are fairly heavy duty. There be kind of everything.
Heavy duty. Yeah. Used to be all wood. Nowadays it's all metals, but we're probably talking like between 70, 80 years old. Wood machines, and some machines are still working nowadays. It's unbelievable the quality we had years ago. It's still working.
It's incredible. Like your dad sounds like such a handyman.
He is, yeah.
What happened to you?
My dad was a handyman, but he wouldn't. He would send me to build the machines on the farms.
Okay.
He would do all the design and the paperwork, but I was the hands-on, going farm to farm, building the machines. And it depends as well what producers are looking for. It was commercial coffee, was specialty coffee, or more local market. It depends. Different machines for different farms, you know.
And when you're in that stage, obviously the coffee journey you've seen was primarily obviously at the farm level. Did you know much at that time about espresso making, brewing, cafes, roasting, any of that?
No,
nothing.
No, and then at the time as well, it wasn't much specialty coffee. It was more commercial coffee, which is exported US basically, you know. So that at the time they were doing, it was no one or two farms doing specialty coffee, but it wasn't a such thing as nowadays, you know. Even the machines as well, like in Brazil, you see like machines we have in Europe is much better than we have in Brazil.
Yeah, it's grown though.
It's growing, rapidly, yeah. No, that's a fair point, because I think the education in coffee, especially for the Brazilians, they are drinking much better coffee than was 5-10 years ago. Way better coffees now.
Yeah, which is great to see.
It is, yeah.
And so when you were kids, you said you were working, building the machines and stuff. So what was your journey through the ages then of how long were you in school? When you finished school, did you know you wanted to get into coffee, or what was your journey like then?
Yeah, I went school, primary, secondary school there, and then at 16 I was started to work with dad. You know, it was part time. I used to go to school in the morning, and then afternoon giving my dad a hand in the factory there. I went to college. I did admin college with exporting, some subject on exporting, which I never used. Did know if I'm gonna use it or not.
Just by chance you went into exporting, or it made sense?
You could choose export or marketing, and marketing wasn't my thing.
Oh no, you should have.
So I went to the export subject, import and export subject. So that time in my last year in college, I did the army for 10 months as well.
Mental.
Good, yeah. Mental. It's part time as well. It wasn't full time in the army. You know, it was a part time. Then I went outside my dad. I had my own factory, but we still working together. My dad used design, and I look more for the factory. I had like 4 or 5 employees there. You know, which was nice. I was very young. I was 23. You know, at the time.
Very cool.
But it was good to have good idea how business work.
Yeah.
You didn't realize when you're that young, you know what you're doing. But it was good. Yeah, it was
brilliant. Good. And army's compulsory over there, is it?
It's compulsory. Yeah. It's not. You have to present yourself to the army, otherwise you want to get your number for passports and stuff like that.
So when you say present yourself, you say, "Hi, I'm Lucas.
Yes.
I'm available if you need me."
Exactly.
And they say, "Go away," or "Come on in," like kind
exactly.
of thing. Okay. Yeah. So you did 10 months.
10 months. Yeah.
And would the average be 10 months to a year, or?
Usually it's from February to November.
Okay. So that's how it works. Okay. So then you went to college. Did you always know you wanted to move to Ireland? Did you know much about Ireland?
No, didn't know.
No? Okay, hit us. How did that happen?
I always want to travel, especially because paraglide. I've been a few countries in South America, you know, and then I seen friends traveling, and then I said, look, I want to do that as well. Ireland was easier to get a visa. English-speaking country, so US was hard, UK was hard, so Ireland was the option. I have few friends from my town, Ricardo and Rodrigo, who lived here before. They highly recommend. Say, go to Ireland. Great crack.
Good Guinness.
You know,
I'm so thankful. It's so easy to get a good visa, it's easy to get a visa here, because then obviously, like, the amount of companies and people that must have brought over is actually insane. Yeah. Particularly in coffee, because the Brazilian community here is amazing.
It's massive.
It's massive.
It's massive. Like, we're the 3rd or 4th community now in Ireland. Wow. The Brazilians. Yeah.
Wow, that's class. And obviously, it was such a help for you then when you came here. You had friends. So when you came here, what was your first job?
Yeah, arrived in Ireland 2008. First job, didn't find anything, couldn't speak in English.
So you were still learning English?
Yeah,
as you
still
came
learning
over?
English at the time. Yeah, going to the English school in the morning, and then find something in the afternoon. I sewed the Metro and Herald newspaper on the road, like traffic lights or buses stop in the morning. You would hand, the free papers we have at the time.
That is mental.
Yeah, that was my first job, and then from there I got a job in it's called a Pie Bar in South Whelan Street. It's a nightclub. Yeah, work in the afternoon on the paper, and then in the night time I go to the bar. And just picking glasses, cleaning, and serve a few pints here and there.
I can't imagine going to another country not speaking the language fully, and then I'd assume the Herald was kind of cash in hand because you could only work 20 hours, could you?
No, the visa was different. At the time you could work 40 hours. Yeah. Nowadays it's much
different.
harder. Yeah.
Okay, so you came over, didn't speak the language, got a job selling Heralds, and you were doing English lessons at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow, what a start. It's like the American dream, but Irish versions. And then you were a bartender. Did you learn any skills in those two roles that kind of helped you?
Yeah, when you're in hospitality, it's a different role. From there, when my English improved a bit, I got a job in another pub, which the hours were much better. It was a nightclub. It was a normal pub, in Amin Street. It used to call Kate's Cottage.
Okay.
Worked there for 7 years, probably. Five to 7 years, yeah. Love the place. There I really learned English. The
different accents.
Accents. We were just across Bussars, the station.
Okay,
you knew like big games in Croke Park. Who was playing?
The coaches coming up.
Yeah, exactly. And then I got in GAA, like learn about hurling, football.
Very
who's
nice.
Playing, who's the best guys, who's the best teams.
Which do you prefer, hurling or football?
I prefer football. Yeah.
Hurling's crazy.
Hurling's fast. Yeah,
It's so crazy.
yeah, and I have to support Cavan for football.
I suppose you like it at all. So you were in the bar, learned a lot in terms of language, how to deal with people, hospitality,
And the culture, you learn a lot about the culture.
how to take a slagging.
It's like there's the foreigner.
Yeah. And you say you touched on hospitality there, which is a big one, because actually, like, from the Brazilian community I know here, and generally just some other nations, they take hospitality very serious, and it's an actual profession, whereas I don't think maybe Irish people do now, definitely particularly since maybe specialty coffee brew and cafes are actually quite cool to go into.
Yeah.
But the difference in how we view hospitality historically would have been very different. Did you notice that when you came over?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
No. Even by the time, didn't have money to go restaurants, didn't know what was good, what was bad. You have to learn and hearing, all this, I recommend this, pizza's good here, beef is nice there, fish is very, very good in Ireland, I have to say, compared to what we have in Brazil. And then treating customers, getting that professional feeling behind the bar was very important as well.
Yeah. It's one of my favourite things, dealing with customers. Like, I remember back in the day in Arnott's and stuff, like, it's such a good buzz because it is what you make of it. You can make every interaction happy and joyful, or you can just hate your job. But I actually loved buzzing off people and improving people's day, giving them good coffee and just having a laugh. So I kind of actually missed that aspect of it.
It is good. And then you don't know who's gonna get in your door.
Exactly.
That's the funny thing.
Did you meet any famous people when you were working there?
No, not really.
Yeah,
No, I have the locals. I really like the locals there.
Crack.
Sheriff Street, all the guys there. Yeah. I still back in there once a year, and meet a few guys on the road there,
Nice.
which is nice.
That's lovely. Back to your roots. So then you went from the bar to working in Vodafone, was it? If I remember correctly?
No, I work for
Insurance.
Allianz Insurance.
Yeah.
I worked then for 10 years in Allianz.
Yeah.
It was a health insurance. Deal with claims basically, and then some later on high cost claims. Treatments we need improvements for oncology and stuff like this, which was much more detailed and a lot very expensive treatments. So attention to detail that was very important.
And did you, up to this point, use any of the skills you learned in college?
Actually, no.
And what age are you at this point?
Probably my 30s, I'd say.
Okay. So yeah, and then you were in Allianz for how long?
For 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the office job?
It's hard.
That's a no.
No. I like, because I always in Brazil work for myself, and I seen few friends work for big companies and said, "Oh, I want to try that."
Yeah.
See how that feels. And the end of the day, it's good. No worries about get paid or not. It's always there. But that environment of the office, it's hard. You can do. I did for a while. But I was, in my last 3 years there, even before COVID, I was in a pilot team to work from home.
Were you?
Yeah.
So they were ahead of their time?
Yes.
Wow.
I was in a pilot team. 2 years before COVID, I was already working from home.
Wow.
Yeah, so was more productive. You could see on the charts the productivity was way better than was in the office.
You're probably trying to prove a point at that time as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they were trusting you way before it was the norm to work at home. So you're like, let's make this work.
Exactly.
It's a massive privilege. Like it helps so many people today, and you see the culture shift is crazy. That's very cool. Very cool.
And
so you much preferred that.
Yeah, but then when COVID happened, I was very busy because I was training people how to work from home. Then the systems were a bit different. It was very busy for me, because I was 4 or 5 of us only, and then the department was 250 people or something like that.
That's mad. I never thought you'd have to train people to work at home.
Yeah, systems, it doesn't work, and how you do, we have a few different systems, and then everyone get up and running their own laptop. They have to collect the laptops home, and it wasn't that simple when it happened.
And then when did you jump ship from Allianz to Viva?
I double work for good 3 years.
Okay.
I could do my time there. It didn't matter my time. I could do from 6 to 10 in the morning, stop for 2 hours back there, 12 to 4 or 12 to 5, or I could start at 11 and finish at 7. Once you do your shift between 6 in the morning to 7 in the evening, you could work any time. That was very flexible.
That's so important for you to be able to start Viva.
Yeah.
Do you think... Did you know that it was that flexible when you were starting the job, and did you have Viva in mind, or was it just by chance?
It was by chance, but it was a lot of hard work behind that as well.
I can imagine. I know.
I know. No, opportunities came to life, and then you have to take or not take. It's then depends on you.
Yeah. It's interesting to think back of if you did have a normal 9 to 5. Would you have then sought after a job that was more flexible, or would you just made it work anyway?
That's I don't know that. Would be much harder.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Definitely 100%. Would be. I'd say nearly impossible. With kids and everything, probably wouldn't be.
Yeah. What age are your kids?
Olivia is 10 and Daniel's 8. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Class. Deadly. So, and how old is Viva?
Viva was 5. Yeah, Viva was 5 in November. Yeah.
So it was a busy household for a while when you were starting.
Very busy.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, we did a post on Instagram. Even my daughter helped me. Doing the first sample bags. It's good. Yeah.
That's
the kids understand.
Story. Yeah, it's such a nice story, and you'll have those pictures up in your big warehouse when you have you have a big warehouse now, but when you're getting guests in and everything, you can have the history of Viva Coffee on the wall, and your daughter being front and centre. That's cool. So then Viva, I remember being in coffee and 10 years ago when I was roasting, thinking, how is there no Irish importer? It's crazy. And then obviously you came along, you were one of the first to market. Probably, I know Dave from Pinecone had something, he was importing green, but you're probably the first well-established green importer in Ireland. How did you get established? Because in my head, it is a really big task to set up a green importing company. Really big. The logistics, the cash flow, the capital. How did you get started? And what was that journey like?
We started with our first supplier was Alto Alegre. Fernando grew up together, so we knew each other for a very, very long time. So they sent a container. Fernando, his mom, his brother, and his sister. It was a family, very, very good family business there. So they sent a container to London, and at the time, the guy worked with them there didn't know everything about logistics. They were brilliant on that, but it's very hard market to sell the coffee. So they have few sales there, but then was London Coffee Festival, and these guys said to Fernando, said, look, there's loads of Irish roasters here in London Coffee Festival. And then Fernando is a smart guy, he clicked straight away. He said, look, I know someone in Ireland who know coffee. We did a few things together already on the coffee. So he got in touch with me and said, Lucas, would you try to sell any of our coffee there in Ireland? I said, look, I can have a look. I know your farm inside out. You've been there. His mom used to bring us when we were kids for the winter holiday there for a week there in the farm, where harvest time, and then Fernando's grandfather used to play with us. We could play on the cement patches, playing football there, and
so
jump
cool.
on the amount of coffee.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But then I got the samples and I went around. It was hard because at the time we had like big importers, and then you knock on someone's door saying, look, I have coffee to sell. But they say, who are you? And then Michael from Ariosa gave me the first chance. I recognize these, and I said, look, I deliver the coffee in your door, and then if the quality is same as the sample, you pay me. And then.
And how did you find knocking into roasters? Because I think now the Irish market in terms of coffee is very supportive of each other, most of it anyway. But 10 years ago probably wasn't that way, I don't think.
No.
So how was it knocking into roasters initially?
Initially, that's what I say, it's hard because you're not working for a company which is like, let's say, Wakefield or Falcon or all these Volcafe, these big importers, and then you knock it, like I said, I have coffee here. Yeah. But like, who you work for, we're just trying to sell Fernando's coffee. I wasn't trying to create Viva at the time, just help Fernando sell his coffee.
That's a very different approach. And I can see why people be hesitant, because you're just trying to sell coffee from a farm.
Exactly.
It doesn't seem too legit or reputable.
Exactly.
So maybe if you had Viva, or you had a name even, or a logo,
or
it
a
would
logo,
have been
exactly.
way easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a learning.
Yeah. And then we ended up selling everything in Ireland.
Well done.
And then was before Brexit as well. Transport was very easy. So we sold everything, and then Fernando said, Lucas, create something, your company there, we're happy to provide another container.
Well,
and
what were your thoughts at this point? Were you excited, nervous?
It's scary.
Scary, yeah.
It is very scary, because I had my own job, and then I was working in insurance. There's opportunity there to create something with Viva and Fernando, and then I said, look, give me time. Then in November in 2019, we found Viva, all the paperwork, and then we find a warehouse, and then they shipped the first container to Ireland.
Wow. So that was a real point of, as you just said, scary. But before that, there wasn't much risk. You were just knocking around hoping to sell coffee.
Exactly.
You didn't have a warehouse. You didn't have the coffee here in Ireland. So it was very, I will just give this a go. And
exactly.
Then all of a sudden, it's very real, very serious.
Yeah.
And where was your first warehouse?
The first warehouse was in Cavan. When the coffee arrived there, they didn't know how to put in a pallet. Never seen a coffee sack before, it was funny. Went there because I said, look, we have to put in the pallets that way, not this way, and the guy said, but it's very heavy bags, and then from there we stay a year in Cavan, and then when we have our second supplier, was a bigger amount then with Umberto from Falcafe, and then it started rolling big amounts. We have to swap something because it was very hard to manage the warehouse in Cavan, the logistics. Have to travel there, and sales start picking up. You have to have something closer to us. So now we're outside Drogheda in Colin, which is handy. Closer, and I have all the logistics around us as well there, which is very, very, very easy.
And at that point, how much or what did you put into the company when you were starting Viva and you got your first warehouse? Did you have money? Did you get a loan? How much? No, like you don't have to disclose all this. Did they give you credit that made it worthwhile? Like,
in the beginning we had some support, especially from Umberto. He gave us a good bit of support on that. To help us start. I recognize this because I'm very grateful for him as well, to give him that big push. Umberto, he's a businessman, he's a CEO, he know how, and his family's in coffee for a century. So he knew I had the business before I know that. He said, look, you're safe, you're my friend, we grew up together, here you go, give it a big push now. And then it take it off.
Brilliant. Like it's mad when like you have people like that. You're, as you said, so grateful. You remember them forever, and you're just so thankful. So like that's been one of my favorite parts about setting up is the relationships you build early on, and like the gratitude you have for those people is outrageous. Like land on my feet where I am in terms of the premises. So like I can imagine even now how thankful you are to Umberto, and like you'll always give him business. Like obviously you're friends from an early age, but like that partnership is probably one of the favorite things. Would it be the same for
absolutely, you? Absolutely. And the good thing for me working with these guys, like we know each other for so long, and when I moved to Ireland I kind of lost the contact with them, but now we're talking weekly basis now, which is very important. And we go like Word of Coffee. I meet them, like 2 or 3 times a year.
That's
which
great.
Is it's great. I'm more contact at home than ever before now.
Brilliant. True coffee, huh?
True
Who
coffee.
knew? That's deadly. I know it's the sign of a true friend when like you haven't spoken in a long period, and then when you start talking again, it's just like you haven't. But that's amazing that you have that connection through your business again. It's great as you're talking. So that's how Viva set up. I'd actually love to talk on the logistics. You said someone helped you set up the logistics, because in my head that's a massive headache, and that's why a lot of roasters don't deal direct. So like the logistics of the shipping container, organising shipping, because that's probably one part that people don't realise or don't see how stressful that can be. The cost, like what happens if the container like has water in it, the coffee goes mouldy. So you're obviously jumping into that blind. Did you have any
No, we had an idea, because
is that what you learned in college?
Exactly. And came like the paperwork which I was dealing with, a bill of landing and stuff like this. I said, look, I know this from college. I realized, I said, I know this document and what it is. Good. Back to use something from college, I said I never thought I was gonna use that in my life. But then,
so what's involved?
Logistics is a tricky thing. I prefer not telling you. I said your coffee will be here next week. No, I said your coffee will be here next month. Because they give you dates, and the dates for the shipping and arrival here change it on a weekly basis.
Okay.
September, October was 3 times in Brazil to shipping coffee because they were shipping too much. So your container basically was sitting in the port there for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And people here waiting for coffee.
And where, like, it just, in my head, it sits in a cold, damp warehouse, just like...
It's the same as the container go outside on the ships, like the containers outside in the port is the same, And a lot of it's all sealed, and it is special for food. They have special containers for food, so it's a bit
fair. So can you talk us through from the first step to the last step of getting the coffee from the farm to see? Like how do you go? Who do you ring? As in, you ring the logistics company, say, I have a pallet from here, I wanted to get it there, and then you send them paperwork, or what's that look like? Because I'm just so interested. I have no idea how it works.
It works. You get the sample from the farm. I say, look, that's the coffee I choose. So they're gonna mill the coffee, and then they're gonna prepare the coffee in the warehouse to bag. By the time they bag the coffee, usually they doing the same. They bag the coffee, they leave the coffee ready, and then the container arrives. They bag and straight to the container. Container leave the farm or the warehouse there, Porto Santos, and then it can take a week to put in the ship, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Sometimes take more, and then from there go to the big ports in Europe. Take 3 weeks to get in a big port, Rotterdam, Hamburg, or what else? Rotterdam, Hamburg. Anyway, it's one more here in Europe. Don't remember now. Then take a container from that ship, put in again on the dock.
So swap ships.
Yeah, on the dock, swap ships, the smaller ships.
How long
then
does that
to Ireland.
take?
From Brazil, from a ship in Brazil to a ship in Ireland to land in Dublin port, probably 4 to 5 weeks.
How long is it in Hamburg, say?
Probably a week, maybe 5 days. Depends, the availability on the ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it goes from Brazil, Hamburg, takes a week to take it off that boat, put it on a new boat, come from Hamburg to Dublin.
And then it's Dublin, customs, checked, and then release.
Then release.
And then the truck can go and collect container in the port and bring to the warehouse.
Well, so you have to organise a truck then to go to Seabridge, collect the coffee, bring it to your warehouse.
Yeah. Go Dublin port straight to my warehouse, yeah.
Okay.
And then all the paperwork to customs, and then countries like Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Central America's always red line. They scan the container and then release, so
okay.
it's tricky.
That's just mad.
And then from there we have to unload the container, palletize everything, and then send another truck to
even stuff
the
like
roasters.
that. Palletizing, you would have to invest in one of those. Do you have the
machines,
spinny,
we have them.
What's the spinny thing called?
A wrapping machine.
Just a wrapping machine.
Yeah.
Very intuitive. That's cool. So that's the logistics. It's just in my head. I had no idea the full process and what was involved, and I can imagine it's a headache then, particularly when boats get delayed and you have to tell roasters.
It's always delays, and boats break, and then it's more delays, and then you get a mail say, "Look, we're planning for the 20th of January. Now is the 5th of February. Oh, now it's not the 5th of February anymore. In a week, they said it's the 10th of February. So it's hard. It's tricky to plan everything.
What were the delays of the shipping from Brazil caused by in the last few months?
September and October. I think it was too much coffee being exported. It wasn't. Usually the average in Brazil is around 3 million bags being exported. September was 4.5, October 5 million bags, and then it's 50% more than the average month, Well, so it's no way they can deal with that. They don't have the facilities. It won't be just Brazil; it'll be anywhere where you used to do 3 million bags, and next month you have to do 4.5.
Well,
it's too much.
Yeah. So there was just a backlog at the ports waiting to get out of Brazil.
Yeah.
So the coffee was all packed, sitting there and waiting to go.
And it wasn't just me. It was all the importers in Europe, or around the world, US, delayed for everyone.
And was that all crops, or just coffee was over the average?
Probably just coffee. Yeah.
Just coffee.
Yeah.
So coffee just caused delays worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay. And why was there a massive increase in the export of coffee?
First was European importers were afraid or want to ship everything before EUDR. So
what's
everyone was trying to it's good.
What is it? What is EUDR?
It's a European deforestation program, and reforestation. So it is a regulation which came for all the importers, where we're going to have to provide information for EU Parliament saying your farm hasn't been deforestation since 2021.
Okay.
So a lot of paperwork, satellite images to confirm that, So I think it's everyone is doing on their own way, before they standardize what exactly will be.
Yeah. So important. And why was Brazil and producers trying to export it quickly? To avoid paperwork, or because their farms were...
No, the importers were trying to get it as soon as possible from 1st of January 2025. If your coffee arrives here in 2025, you have to provide all the paperwork.
Okay.
If you arrive 3rd of December 2024,
no paperwork.
No paperwork needed.
And that's delayed, isn't it?
That's delayed for a year now,
A year.
For bigger importers, and the smaller importers is December 2026. So
2026. Ages
yeah,
away.
Well,
Time will fly. It's actually a good segue from the reforestation and sustainable coffee. So obviously, sustainable coffee is a massive buzzword in the industry. And to you, what would you consider sustainably grown coffee?
It is a trick. It's tricky how to describe what sustainability is. People can have any views on sustainability, different angles, different perspective on sustainability. For me, sustainability is more on the farm, what the farmers are doing on the ground. People work for them, the pickers, how they're treating people, what they're doing with their waste, water, how much they are producing. Is that sustainable? Is the soil okay to produce that amount of coffee? Is the soil not okay? Can you do this constantly? Probably not. Climate change affect a lot their sustainable way to produce coffee. It's a tricky thing. You can. I have my view, and probably different people have different views on that, and that's fine. You
see, it's such a hard question to answer, and I think you gave me a definition the last time. You said sustainably grown coffee is coffee that increases or stays the same in coffee yield. So if the farm produces the same amount or increases the amount of coffee it's grown year on year, but as well as that, very importantly, that coffee isn't decreasing in quality either. And Correct. As well as that, it's how they treat the employees, what pesticides are used, and
fertilize, pesticides, water, because when you wash the coffee, that water is very dangerous. To dispose that water, you have to very, very careful on that water. It's very important.
Okay, so there's so much that goes into sustainably grown coffee. Yeah. Is there any certification? So I know there's Rainforest Alliance, there's Fair Trade, there's all of these things. Is there any of those that you think is worth putting on the bag?
It depends the size of the farm. We have our own certification, our Viva certification, because before we buy, we go to the farm and say, look, I want to see these before I buy from you.
Yeah.
So we have, I think every company, like every importer, should have, or they have their own certification, what they're buying from. And I think that's very important. Rainforest Alliance, Fair Trades, small producers, they are not able to cope with the prices for those things, and unfortunately they're not. But if you're big, probably it's good to have you aggregate something to your coffee.
Yeah.
But for the small to medium producers, I don't think is that viable.
Okay, and like you touched on there, each importer should have their own almost certificate, and that's probably the best way of doing it, because you work with, how many farms do you work with?
We work with probably around 10 farms at the moment.
So that's
in Brazil only.
Okay.
And then we have more.
But even that, to run your own certification and to do your own due diligence of checking farms, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. Yeah. So you'd almost have a max amount of farms that you could work with to have your own certification, because obviously to check the things you've just talked about, you'd need to go on farm level or have someone at the farm level.
Yes.
And then that's why I think certifications, the bigger ones, they're just too hard to maintain, because there's so many farms involved that it just becomes, it's a business, and the business, they're scaling it, so there's a lot of probably tick the boxes or things that aren't farm specific, so because it's a business and they have to scale it, the farmers or the producers are the ones who are suffering because they have paperwork that they have to do, and the paperwork is crippling to them because it's the last thing they have time for. So I agree with you in terms of certification. It should be at an importer level, or even there's a lot more direct trade now. Have you noticed that in the years?
Direct trade is like we buy coffee and then we brought you to the farm. You can check anything in the farm. You can go anywhere in the farm we work with. You're free to go anywhere. We're not afraid to hide anything. It's open gates there on the farm to work with.
And do you think the customer base care? So do you think the people who are drinking espressos in cafes care about all of this?
Good question there. I think 20% probably care about that. The rest, they just want their coffee.
I agree. I was shocked because when I was shocked at how not little people care, but they almost weren't aware of it. Because I was trying to talk to people about, people who wouldn't be crazy about coffee, they wouldn't be the person we're talking about. They go in, grab a coffee, they'd be happy. And I'd be like, oh, have you thought about certifications? What is it? And they were like, no, why would I need to know about that? And because we're in the bubble of the specialty coffee world, roasters, we talk to cafes, obviously businesses, we're in this bubble of it's so important, which we should be because we're the ones who trickle it down. But it was fascinating to see the general consumer actually doesn't really even notice.
Yeah.
And we put so much work into things, which is what makes it worthwhile. But my roundabout point I'm making is certifications don't matter on the bag. There's no need for a Rainforest Alliance, a fair trade. What matters more is us dealing with the farmers as a partnership to ensure that the practices on the farm are good. Because the certification on the bag doesn't matter past us because no one pays attention to it anyway.
True.
So everything is important before that. So I'm not working with a farm to get a certification, Rainforest Alliance written on the bag for the consumer who doesn't care, because essentially it stops in the middle anyway. The caring gets very trickled down and nobody matters. So
I will prefer to put a picture of the farmer on the bag. Would be
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. You literally. Yeah, 1,000,000% sitting there with the farmer, chatting to them. Obviously I got to meet them. It was absolutely incredible, life changing, and
the knowledge they have, it's unbelievable.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It was just fascinating the lives they're living. That waiting on rain or the climate, they're just waking up every day and they're just so
nearly praying for the rain.
It's so out of their control.
Yeah,
the weather. Yeah. And their whole livelihoods, their revenue for the year are all relying on that, and that's obviously what we're seeing now with the impact of the pricing. So we may as well get to the pricing. How's the coffee market at the minute? I firstly explain what the C price is of the coffee market. So what is the C price?
The C price at the moment is around 320.
So the C price of coffee, but that's the stock market. How does that work? How is it determined?
Does that work? It depends on the coffee you're buying. You're buying specialty coffee, you're going to pay plus 20-30 cents more than the C price. C price is the basically, let's say, fine cup of coffee, and then that's the C price, which is very good coffee. There's some fine cups of excellent coffees, and then if you go a bit more commercial, you're probably going to pay less cents for cheaper coffees, that's the way it works.
So it's the C price is the price of coffee on the stock market, but it's basically a price regulator for all of coffee.
Exactly.
So if you imagine the average of coffee scoring is the C price, and anything above that obviously goes up, and anything below that goes down.
Yeah.
But this regulator,
specialty coffee go up, and then commercial go a bit lower.
So it's plus a certain percentage, but this regulator has gone up so much that everything is crazy expensive.
Yes.
So why has the regulator, or why has the C price gone up?
Because we have many factors which was common for the last 12 months. We are 75-80% more expensive at the same time last year. So that's incredible amount. Okay, so what happened now is we have frost before the year before, and then the last time we had a drought in Brazil for the last 2 years. So soil moistures, and then especially after the harvest, we need the rain quickly, September, for the flowers, and then the plants get fresh water in, and didn't happen. So we have 2 basically bad harvests. In total of these 2 bad harvests, you can count there 10 million bags.
Yeah.
That's a lot of coffee worldwide. And that not just Brazil's affected the market, like Vietnam, where they produce the Robustas, like the Asian countries as well, Indonesia, affected that because they've been having bad harvest, bad weather as well. Climate change, all these things is real. Yeah.
Have you ever seen this with any other crop before? Because 80% year on year is crazy. It's almost unbelievable.
It's almost unbelievable. This week we got the all-time high at 342. So coffee never been so expensive. And then if you talk to traders, any trader say, what's going to happen in Senegal? I think it's going to happen this, but I can't be wrong. Because it's uncharted waters at the moment. I can't guarantee.
Well, nobody can. You can't predict the stock market.
No.
And just to put into terms how crazy that is. Like if you're buying a flat white for €4, and everyone was to keep their margin, and the C price would stay the same, like it'd be nearly €8. Like if you were to go back in and buy the same coffee. Like,
exactly.
It's mental.
It's mental.
And you're talking about the different factors that have influenced this increase, and we just talked about sustainable coffee. You sent me on a lovely report explaining the different harvests and how much has been exported from each country and how they're getting on. Brazil, actually, worldwide, at the minute, the supply is less than the demand. So we've talked about sustainable coffee, but over the past 2 years, the demand has been higher than the supply.
Yeah.
So overall, as a product, as a commodity, as a crop, coffee is just inherently unsustainable at the minute.
Exactly, yeah. It is because climate change has been affecting the production of the coffee in the last 2 years. So that's my opinion. I think for next harvest, we're going to have a deficit again than was expecting. So the price is already included at the moment for the next harvest.
Okay. So you reckon factually the last 2 years supply has been higher than demand. You think the next harvest is going to be the same? So
demand is being higher than supply.
Sorry?
Demand is being higher than supply.
3 years in a row.
Yeah.
So demand will be higher than supply. So coffee is unsustainable. And probably what needs to change, because the weather's not changing anytime soon. Climate change is real. We have to produce more
coffee
in different regions though. Because if Brazil is always going to be around this now and kind of struggle with the current climate in Brazil, the countries that are probably warming up a little bit and are a bit more favourable than they have been in the past have to set up coffee farms.
Yes.
Scary.
But even if you start planting coffee today,
3 years before it's commercially viable, and they have to set up their practices, like in terms of pesticides, all their education, training. So next 5 to 10 years is going to be very interesting for coffee as a commodity.
I think in the next 2 years it will be very challenge, very challenge,
and expensive.
Inexpensive, yeah. Unfortunately, that's. But on the other hand, farmers are getting more money because they've been, working hard all their lives, and eventually now they are getting a bit more than it was last year, let's say.
So it's a good point. So,
but for us as importers and the roasters, and it's not sustainable for us now at the moment.
but the way you phrase that, so the farmers and producers, it's good that they're getting more money because they deserve it. But in theory, they have less yield, less crop. So they're just getting more money for less of what they have.
They have less work than on the farm.
They have less
so
work.
Their cost is a bit lower than you expected.
Okay. So they are still benefiting from it, which is good, obviously. Okay, so then the price.
That's Lucas in Brazil explained for us.
Brilliant.
There when he did a presentation there for us.
Lucas is the farmer from Santo Antonio. Which we stock here.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Lucas and Carolina.
Yeah, Lucas and Carolina, stunning coffee. Okay, that education piece even from him that's cool.
Yeah.
So okay, that's good. Because in my head they weren't, because obviously they have less yield, so it doesn't matter if the price has gone up. They're obviously just still, it's all relative.
Yeah.
The price goes up, and what's happening I see in the market now is everybody instantly raising their prices. Mm-hmm. Everybody, from green importers to roasters to selling into cafes. So I think you said to me before, the price increase comes, but where is the coffee that people have contracted? Why are people increasing it straight away? Opportunistic?
Or safety?
Yeah.
I think at the moment it's safety. Everyone has to increase because everyone is absorbing a bit of that cost, but you can't absorb everything. So
but my point is, let's say I'm a big roaster. I've contracted coffee for the next 12 months. Mm-hmm. The price increase, so the C market hit like the all-time high, and literally within 2 weeks everybody's out, price increase. But it's like they may have coffee for the next 10 months already contracted at an unreal price from last year. They're just increasing the price.
I don't know if
coffee.
They would have that long,
You reckon?
Nah, probably half of that, but not 12 months. I think 12 months is too risky,
So the bigger roasters don't get 12 months?
Probably 6 months ahead, or 6 to 8 months.
Really?
Yeah.
They only get 6 months ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Why is it risky to get 12?
Because, is the coffee come down? Is it go up? I don't think it can. I don't think it would go up more than it is now. If it goes, not much more.
Sounds like they're greedy. Like, as in, I know, like, it's obviously an easy thing to say. So the price last year was enabling roasters to get a decent margin. Mm-hmm. And particularly, obviously, the bigger roasters have, let's say, X margin. And they don't want to contract coffee for 12 months in case it comes back down, but yet they're already making a healthy margin. There should be, in my head, a case of, okay, we can achieve X margin, let's book it in for the next 24 months. It doesn't matter if the coffee comes down, we're still making a healthy margin, and we're avoiding risk of it going up.
True. Yeah, and then every company has their own strategy.
Yeah.
It depends how much coffee, where you need the coffee from, what's your best selling coffee. If I was a roaster today, I wouldn't contract more than 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's an all-time
because
high.
It is all-time high, and
the best,
if it, even if you were talking about in June, which was already expensive, I wouldn't contract more than 6 months either.
Okay.
Because we weren't expecting in June, July, we weren't expecting go over 300.
Yeah.
And today we're 320, 330. This week was 340.
June and July, Brazil was still relatively good value though. Like, I know it was high, but it was still pretty good value.
It is, yeah. It is good value, but like Colombia crop is coming up now.
Yeah.
Central America is starting to, like they're nearly full swing on the harvest now.
Yeah.
So I hope that gives a bit breadth for the roasters to buy some washed coffees until we get another harvest, or in February where we're gonna have a better idea, February, March, what exactly Brazil gonna harvest. Weather change or not affecting, in Brazil until March would be very, very good. It would be safe for everyone, from farmers to for the whole supply chain.
Okay. And are the farmers worried? What's the feeling like in Brazil?
They are. Yeah, they are. Because the drought, it was severe there. So they are counting, the farmers you talk to, they say, look, my farm wasn't that bad, but wasn't that good either. I think they are counting, probably 10% or 5% what they were expecting from next year. At least 10%, I'd say.
Okay. the best case scenario for green importers, you contract all your coffee, let's say, like this best case scenario, if you contracted all your coffee, let's say June, July for the next 12 months, the price all increases, you get to sell it at the high price, and then the price comes way back down. That'd be best case scenario for an importer.
Not really.
No,
because you have to buy coffee now for the coffee to be here in 2 or 3 months.
Okay, so you're always buying coffee.
You have to.
Yeah.
Like higher, low. Like you have to have coffee.
Okay, so you're buying it throughout the year.
You have to.
Times.
Yeah.
And the day in the life of Lucas, you wake up. What's the first thing you check? The stock market price.
No, I it depends. Like some days, but I have my coffee first, and then I get my phone. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was a tricky times in the last 2 months. It's been crazy, and like people, in the coffee industry longer than me, is saying like we never seen that before.
You're probably in a nicer position than roasters, in terms of roasters understand the price is the price. But genuinely, like as in you say, Darren, C market's this price, your Brazil is now that. I'm not going to go, we'll get it for less, will you? Because I understand the process.
Yeah.
It's like you just physically can't, because of the C market influences everything. Whereas it may not be as easy for roasters to.
Yeah, what I work with my customers is like, look, you buying this amount of coffee per year, so let's work ahead. And then even now, I'm not pushing my customers to buy coffee. So look, let's gonna wait January, February and see what happened in the market, because I think something can happen. Just buy what you need at the moment, and then if you want to go longer, then let's gonna wait to January, February.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my advice.
Yeah, which is good. You've always steered me right.
I can't be wrong,
No.
You don't get always right,
Well, people keep saying, I'm like, obviously it's the stock market. If you knew what was going to happen, you'd be a millionaire. You just buy and sell coffee.
Absolutely.
Okay. I guess then it is tough for roasters at the minute to be able to, or to try and pass that on to cafes.
And then I'd say the last 2 years been tough on roasters, because price increase is not just the coffee. It's the coffee, it's the gas, it's the packaging,
even more so cafes then.
Yeah, exactly.
Milk,
everything.
Everything's crazy.
And then like in Ireland, probably 8% of the beverage they sell in the cafe is with milk.
Yeah.
Big
time.
It's
yeah. So it's massive, and I guess like when you go into a cafe then and you're paying $4.50, if the customer knew what was going on behind the scenes, they wouldn't really mind paying $4.50.
No, absolutely not.
And it's the same with sourdough. I remember I used to give out about the price of sourdough, and then I tried to make it myself. I was like, actually, take my €5. You deserve it. This is very difficult. Okay, so we've touched on everything, I think, from your story to the farm to Viva. Is there anything you want to touch on?
Yes, I want to touch something. I want to know about you now, Darren. How you
Jesus.
get on with behind the label. You're, you have it all set up now, and then how you...
You're flipping this now. I don't like that. No, I'm going very, very well. So, look,
it's scary in the beginning. You have the bills, you have big costs in the beginning.
It's mad setting up. It's a different frame of mind, particularly as you said, the bills come in. So it's like it's either I succeed or I don't. So it's very much like I just need to get on with it, or the business is going to fail and I'll have a whopper bank loan for a long time. So but everything's going really well. The support from friends and family has been absolutely insane, genuinely absolutely insane. It's amazing to see. And the first month for sure, it's fun now getting out there trying to get wholesale accounts, but absolutely loving it. Doesn't feel like work. So many ideas like yourself. I appreciate you coming on, but no, it's going really well, and it's a long time coming. Even when I was roasting the other day, it just felt like, okay, I've missed this, because obviously I've done a few other things, and I've been away from not roasting every day, and just the process of getting coffees in, roasting them, tasting them, and then trying to share them with the world and cafes, and trying to help cafes grow it's savage. And then seeing behind the label bags in cafes is just, it's mind blowing. So I don't think it's fully sunk in yet either.
Yeah.
No, I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Best of luck with that. You know,
you.
I'm sure it'll be successful.
Yeah, I hope so. But no, thank you very, very much for coming on. Appreciate your time. Great to hear about Viva, and as I said, savage having a green importer here. I was such an advocate when it finally happened, so I'm glad Ariosa supported you. Shout out Ariosa.
Yeah.
Because without them initially, and you're obviously flying it, so appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, you know, and we have good strong team, you know. Teresa on the background as well, like, I have to give her a shout because she's a massive role on the company, you know, and she's a brainstorm there, and then to bring everything to life, that's her.
The company has gone up so many levels since you went full time.
Yeah, exactly.
You were running it to the ground. Teresa came in, saved the day. You're just getting up, drinking your coffee, checking the stock market, not knowing what was going on. No, brilliant. No, fair play, Teresa. Happy days. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Darren.
We'll leave it there.